To say Dina Pestonji is a strong woman is an understatement. She battled an eating disorder, a horrific car crash, and a paralyzing stroke, all before her 30th birthday.
And she has since gone on to find true self-love and accomplish some major life goals. Her story is called Surviving Myself, and the author, Dina Pestonji, joins us now. Welcome, Dina.
Thank you.
And Dina, this book, talk about putting things into perspective for a lot of people to learn about your story, what you went through. And for yourself, at what point did you kind of realize, I'm ready to share my story with the world?
It was about 2 years ago, which is when I started writing. And I just wanted other people to realize that we all experience many challenges in life, and that's what I wanted to show people, how to get through it.
Now, of all the obstacles and hurdles that you've gone through, let's talk about the stroke for a second. And you still don't know what caused that.
No, I don't. There's no definitive answer, but I have a wonderful medical team looking after me to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
So at what point did you realize that something is happening with my body, that it could possibly be a stroke?
Oh, we didn't. I had about a 2-centimeter mass in my brain, so I was sent to the hospital for about a week of testing. Couldn't find anything wrong and sat back home, and the next day I just basically fell unconscious and was put into an MRI machine to monitor my brain. And that's when the stroke must have occurred, because I had emergency brain surgery.
And then the impact, what would tell us about the recovery after that?
I didn't really move. I was paralyzed for about a month, and I couldn't speak. And it was only about 6 weeks that after I wiggled my toes, and then began the journey on how to move my foot, how to get up, stand up, and then run the half marathon.
Well, yeah, less than a year after what happened, you're like, I'm going to do a marathon. I mean, was it through your recovery, through the support of your friends and family, that you thought, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself, I'm going to push myself, I'm running a marathon?
Actually, it took me when I first wiggled my toe, was that day I just needed that push to say, if I can wiggle my toe, that means I can do something. I got to get it back. And running has always been a sport that I love. So that was my goal. I knew the Toronto Half Marathon was being held, so I did it.
Had you ever run a marathon before?
Yeah, that was my 7th.
Okay. All right, I needed to know that. That's what you've done, and then you've written this book. Talk about, we talk about the issue of self-love and self-discovery. We mentioned you were in a car crash, then you've had this stroke. This is all happening before 30. What have you learned about yourself?
I've actually learned that being vulnerable is what I needed to heal. A lot of who I was came from the fact that I had shame from having an eating disorder. I didn't like feeling different. I had battled severe anorexia for most of my childhood, but I covered it up, and I was deeply ashamed of it. And through writing this book, I realized the stroke was not the hardest thing I've ever been through. Anorexia was. And I needed to vocalize it and share it and realize that that's what I needed to heal. And I want young girls and young boys to just open up. There's so much in this world of telling us who we should be, how we should think, how we should act, especially with social media. And like embracing exactly who you are and being different is okay.
And finally, for friends, for family, people who have loved ones who are going through this, whether it's an eating disorder, whether it's a traumatic event, what sort of advice do you have for them to be present and to be there? Because oftentimes during the midst of such a traumatic experience, it's hard to approach someone, and you want to make sure that you offer a supportive environment, but not necessarily be too overwhelming.
Yeah, I surround myself with positive people all the time. That's been a huge force for me, my family, my friends, but also just realizing when the mind and body work together, you can actually achieve much more than you would ever expect.
And you have. Dina, thank you so much for stopping by. The book is called Surviving Myself, and it is available now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.